Welcome to The Liberated Life. Get ready to free your mind, body, and spirit in business and pleasure. Now here's your host, Robin Quinn Keene.
Hi, this is Robin Quinn Keene, and I'm the host of the show, The Liberated Life. Set yourself free in business and pleasure. I want to talk to you today about one of my favorite topics, and that is about living on purpose. Now, a lot of people talk about being on purpose, finding your purpose. I've read a bunch of books and listened to lots of speakers about being on purpose and finding your purpose. But to be honest, for a long time, I spun around in all the different ways of looking at it until I finally settled on a way that really works for me. And I want to share that with you. I've shared it with, 100 different entrepreneurs at least, more than that in the past few years. And people really seem to understand and resonate with this. In my way of thinking, knowing what your purpose is and seeing that it is a thread that has run through your whole life really does set you free to live with more expression. And I love helping people live with more creativity and self-expression. So I'm going to explain it to you and give you some examples, and hopefully that will help you with finding your own purpose. I really believe that everyone has a spiritual purpose that has run through the course of their whole life. And it shows up from the time you're a little kid and shows up again as you grow up in, elementary school, junior high, high school, a young adult. And as you get older, you can look back and start to see those threads. Les Brown, a friend of mine and a motivational speaker, has said it's hard to see what's written or what's in the box when you're inside of it, right? And I really believe that it's very hard for us to look at ourselves and see that purpose. So you can do this with someone else or ask some people to help you, and you can usually get a little bit more clarity on what I'm talking about. So, as I was saying, I believe that each of us is born with a spiritual purpose, something that runs the span of our lives and never changes. So once you know what your purpose is, to be on purpose, you have a mission. And what's great about the mission is the mission can change. It can change with the different times in your life, the parts of your life, the roles that you play in your life. Your mission will change. Your purpose stays the same, your mission changes. Then your vision is the transformation. It is the big change that will happen with you and in the world when you've achieved your mission. And finally, your values are the kind of the frame in which your vision sits, or the bumps on the side of the road. So your values keep you operating in a certain way in order to achieve that big vision that you have for the world. All right, so that's kind of an overview. And now I'm going to dig down into some of the specifics, and I'll give you some examples so you kind of know what I'm talking about. So I want you to think about how you felt as a little kid. And what I mean is, think back to what you felt about yourself, not about things that happened to you, good things and bad things, but more like the way you felt about yourself. What did you believe about yourself? So to give you an example of me, just because it's easiest in the moment, the way I felt about myself when I was a little kid was that I loved my friends and I loved bringing people together. From the time I was little, I would organize things, like whether it was, on the playground during recess, organizing kickball, or organizing a bunch of friends to play together on the swings or the jungle gym, rounding up people and bringing them in. I remember that I was always looking for those kids that were alone or isolated or outcasts, and I was always protecting them. I remember protecting one boy who was disabled and having to face a bunch of bullies one time, and I probably was about 7 years old. But I loved bringing people together, and I was kind of a rescuer. I knew that about myself too. I would look for the disenfranchised, the lost, even if it was a bird or a cat or a dog, much to my parents' chagrin. I was always finding things that needed extra support and bringing them in. When I got older, I would say the same thing of myself. When I was in junior high, I was class president. I was always organizing things. I was always bringing people together. I was always looking for fun and excitement and adventure. And the same thing all the way through high school. Class president, organized everything, same story all the way through. So I can look back through my whole life and say, that was me. And as I look forward in my life from that point on, I had 4 kids and had a big music and dance studio, right? It started small. And I knew that when we moved to this little town from Seattle to a little town on the Olympic Peninsula, there was really nothing here for kids. So I got new baby swings installed at the playground, and then new playgrounds installed and new equipment installed in order to bring people together in community, right? And then I had my big music and dance school, which brought thousands of people together. So there's a clear purpose that's run through my life. And what I would really say about it is to include people and help them experience their highest level of creativity and self-expression. That would be what I would say my purpose is in life. So my invitation to you is to look back and think about what you would say about yourself when you were a child. Now, if you don't know what that is, I would invite you to talk to some other people that were in your life when you were a kid, if they're around and available. So you could think back to something your mom said about you or your dad, something your siblings would say about you, your grandparents would say, your best friends would say about you when you were growing up. And what you want to look for is the thread. What would they say that was in common? Now, remember, you're going to have some thoughts, they're going to have some thoughts, and it's up to you to kind of see what that thread is that runs. If you can't ask them, you could just kind of sit with yourself for a little while and just think back to what it was like for you, and if you can see some of those threads. And again, like I said, it's really hard when you're inside of you to see what those threads are. If you and I had a conversation, usually within a few minutes I can spot the threads, and if you need some help with that, you can always reach out to me. But that's a place to start within yourself, and then asking others who knew you when you were a kid. Once you have a sense of your purpose, that's terrific, because that's the starting place, right? So I've worked with clients and their purpose is, some of them have a similar purpose to mine, which is to help people experience their creativity. There are a million different purposes. Each person has their own purpose, and some of them are similar, but the combination of your purpose, your mission, vision, and values will be unique to you, right? So your purpose could be to create loving communities for people. Your purpose could be to empower people to step into their entrepreneurship. Your purpose could be a lot of different things. It could be to help people. It's usually helping people, right? Help people to experience self-love. Okay, and there, I want to be clear, there is no judgment of whatever your purpose is, but it should resonate with you. You should feel like, oh, wow, yeah, that's totally me, right? So it is yours and yours alone. And so there is judgment. Nobody else's thought about it is really a judgment. It's how you feel about it. And when you land on it, you should feel a sense of comfort and relief and like satisfaction. I think those are the words when you feel what that purpose is. Satisfaction is a big word. So once you've got your purpose, that's awesome. And it's very reassuring, because if you can see the thread that started when you were a child and runs through now, it's very settling and it's grounding. And so here's where the fun comes in. In my opinion, the fun comes in when you got your purpose and then you get to consider your mission. So let's talk about the mission for a few minutes. Your mission is the thing that changes. Your purpose stays the same, but your mission could be anything. There are a million different ways that you can experience and bring your purpose to life. So if I give myself as an example again, when I was a kid, I lived on purpose by organizing all kinds of things and bringing people into communities to have fun, to be self-expressed, right? So, you organize prom, the whole point is to dance and to be in friendships and relationships. When you organize a student assembly, the point is for some people to get up and entertain others and provide information, right? It doesn't matter, what the things were that I organized. It was for people to have fun and to express themselves. So my mission when I was young was I did it that way. When I got older and I had 4 kids, I homeschooled for a while, for quite a few years, actually about 9 years. And I wanted my kids to be self-expressed. And so we did a lot of art. We did a lot of things out in nature. They wrote papers. They played instruments. They played on soccer teams. They danced. And so those things were all around their expression. And I facilitated that. Then I had my own music and dance studio where we had all kinds of activities, martial arts and acrobatic gymnastics, all of the different dances, a bunch of different instruments and choirs. And so I facilitated people having that experience, not just by myself teaching, but by engaging many other teachers to teach in my studio, everything that I mentioned, along with art and classes for adults and all kinds of stuff. So that was my mission then. A few years ago, I sold my studio, and my mission since then has become to work with business owners, especially those who serve kids, in bringing their purpose to life and helping them with retaining students so that they get results, right? So that's important to me. It's just another step in my living on purpose. And working with entrepreneurs to recognize what their purpose, mission, vision, and values are. That's part of what I'm doing now. So my mission, although my purpose has stayed the same, my mission has shown up in different ways. And when I discovered this distinction about 4 or 5 years ago, wow, I just felt so empowered, because I kind of wandered for a little while after I sold my studio, trying to figure out what is my purpose. And once I realized it never changed, I just got to pick the different ways I brought it to life. That was very exciting for me. So this is the way I've done it, but I could probably look at a million different missions and say, oh, I could do it that way as well. That's very exciting. So once you've got your purpose, I want you to just take some time and think about what are all the different ways that you could bring your purpose to life. And think outside of the box. Once you know what your purpose is, ask other people how, what do you imagine? How could I do this? Wow, there are really, literally millions of ways. I like to call myself a possibilitarian because that's how I love to live, which is there are a million possibilities. Like there's not just one, there are many ways to do this. Great. So you can work on your mission a little bit. Let me talk about your vision. Your vision is the way the world will be different once you've fulfilled your mission, not your purpose, because you never fulfill and finish your purpose. It's always running in the background, but your current mission. What will you and the world look like when you have fulfilled your mission? Now, that's a wonderful thing. So I could say all people will be creatively expressed. That would be one thing. I also know that part of my mission right now is helping people learn to finish what they start and keep their word, right? So because that's another whole show. We'll talk about that next time perhaps. But I believe that is critical to living on purpose, is to finish what you start. So you have developed the habit of success and confidence so that you will go out and live into your purpose and complete your mission. So that might be my mission right now. And the vision would be that people would be impeccable with their word and be more confident. Okay, so you just need to think about what that would be for you. How will you and the world transform when you have completed your mission? Finally, let's talk for a minute about values. For me, as I mentioned earlier, the values are the framework within which I am completing my mission. So those are the things that, in order for me to feel good about what I've done, to do it well, to be happy, primarily, that's really important, to be happy, I have to have certain things that are in place in order for me to function well. So for me, my top value is freedom. So when I'm living and into my mission and on purpose, I need to feel free. If I feel boxed in, I'm not going to be happy. I don't want limitations on myself. Clearly, the liberated life is all about not having limitations, right? You know from my title, that's what I'm committed to. And so that's important to me. So freedom is one of my very first values, that if I'm not free to do things my way on my mission, I'm not going to be happy. Another value for me is integrity. And that for me, and I've already mentioned that a minute ago, is keeping my word. So if I tell you I'm going to do something, I will keep my word. And I would hope the same from any partner that I have, business, whatever kind of partner, life partner. I want to know that I am in integrity, and you are too. Another thing would be courage. For me, courage is a really important part of living into my mission, because to live on purpose and complete a mission is going to require courage at some point, if not all the way along the way. Courage to step out into the public eye, courage to take steps that might be unpopular, courage to speak up for myself or for others when I need to, courage to stand against the tide if I must. So those are a few of my values. I have many more values. Loyalty also is highly important to me. Partnership is really important. So those things would also be the bumps on the side of the road. So if something's not present for me that I need in terms of my values while I'm living into my purpose and on my mission, I'm going to notice it. And if I feel like something is off, that's the first place I'm going to check. Like, am I out of integrity? Am I lacking courage? Am I stymied? Am I feeling hemmed in by some lack of freedom? Communication is part of it as well. Like, where am I not communicating? So those are some ideas for you about how I frame up living on purpose. And again, the way this fits into the liberated life is that I believe that when we know what our purpose is, we have a groundedness to us, grounded, solid. I'm solid. I know what I'm here for. I'm not wandering around, because when I'm wandering around, I don't feel very liberated. I might feel free, but I also don't feel like I'm steady and going in a direction. And so I love having my purpose defined, and then I find my mission being so open to be absolutely delightful. I just love being able to pick and choose what that mission is going to be. That's very exciting. That is freeing. And then knowing what my big vision is also feels freeing to me. Like, wow, I can see it. So this to me is like the starting point for my personal sense of freedom. And I really look forward to sharing much more about this with you in coming episodes. I'll be bringing on some really great guests to talk about the way that they seek freedom and liberation in their lives and some of the keys that they've discovered. And I'll share more of my own personally as we go along. So if you like this show, please like, share, subscribe, leave feedback. I'd love that. And if you'd like to get the show notes, they should be below here. And you can always find me at quittingculture.com. If you'd like to have a conversation, just hit one of the links and schedule a call with me. I'd love to talk to you about what you're up to and how I might serve you in the future. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You can also get more great information at quittingculture.com.